Can you fix it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh overview. Today, we're going to take a quick look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Ned-B from Obi-Wan Kenobi. Another droid! I'm so happy when I get new droids. Because when this popped up in the show, I knew automatically, oh, I've got to have one for the collection. He's big, he's broad, he's bulky, he's in construction colors. That's right up my alley. I knew I needed it in plastic. Looking at the box, it's what we've become accustomed to with this line. No window, just a render on front. The color scheme for Obi-Wan working over into the artwork on the side. On the back, another picture. Is that the same picture? Warning, small parts. Don't put tiny pieces of plastic in your orifice. On the other side, this is the kind of promo pic I like. Straight and to the point. Vanilla pose, accessories, showing me what I get. Boom. On top, the depths of my wallet at the moment. On bottom, here's more legalese barcode. Let's get this open. Oh, time for the exciting part. Tape, flap, tray, Star Wars, the tissue paper. Be free, buddy. Oh, I forgot about this piece. Well, I like that they're sealed. I've opened a couple of these where it's just wrapped or a baggie. These are actually very fun dippish. And it looks like there is some assembly required because this backpack, I don't know if it's separate because it needed to be packed in the box or what, but I think of this as part of the robot. Also, you're not going to be taking it on. Well, you can do whatever you want. It's your toy. You bought it. But there's also these pipes right here that plug into the side of it. Oh, and in hand, I love it. But there are a couple of things. And no, it's not my sudden realization that this reminds me of Calculon. But first off, look at this sculpt. That's what I'm talking about. Some metal, some beefiness, some hard angles like on the chest box here. Or the guards down around the hands just Then in other places, they're just sexy curves, just smoothness. Well, right here, it goes from this da-da-da-da to woo. Without doing any kind of research, it's kind of the industrial model of K2SO. It's that same sort of design, but construction-fied. Have these vent-like things up on the top of the shoulder pads, coming down to, again, well, the simplicity of it, I think, is what grabs me. Like, again, the forearm just has this curve to it with a couple of stripes. It's meant for function more than form. But then there's also a texture to it that is hard to pick up unless you look really, really close. It's almost pitted. Like it's been used for years and years and years out in the weather, in the harsh elements maybe. Some nicks, some dings, maybe some rust damage here and there. And instead of going through the work of sanding and smoothing it out, there's just a new paint job thrown on top of it. And once you see it, it's kind of an old feel to it. Heavy feet for a wide base. The embossed line just coming up across, and same thing up here. Got a butt plate to protect those precious servos at the hips. Like I mentioned, the backpack has these wires or tubes running out from the body into it. The left forearm has some kind of device on it, some buttons, screen, communicator. Get up to the head, and again, simplicity. Just eyes, kind of a mouthpiece. These sticking out are rubbery. When I first got it out of the package, I went like that and thought, oh shit, I broke it. But no, it just kind of flexes back. The head kind of looks like a hard hat, doesn't it? And then the backpack, I didn't even realize has a handle on it. Again, going for that toolbox feel. But with the general smoothness of the outer covering, you get beneath all that and you get to the detail work. There's some seams and mechanics and everything, and tubes and wires just running up under. At the neck have kind of pistons on both sides with some covering and an Adam's apple. But then getting to the paints and colors, and first thought, this seems bright. But as we've talked about with other figures recently, there's also that Star Wars Disney Plus TV filter. It darkens everything. It makes everything seem a bit grungier than it actually is. I would like to see this skew closer to honey mustard, whereas what we're seeing here is it's a bit more basic Frenches. Got some Arabesh in blue with a ring around the neck. That Arabesh is also back here on the backpack. Ned! And then the left forearm is a blue. That kind of reminds me of the Heavy Mando, just in reverse, because, you know, he had the blue for the overall body and then yellow on the left forearm.
This is the way.
The eyes are punched in to look kind of like lights. I'd like to see was this red and yellow in the show, these two lights? Getting close like this, they did a good job of the wear and tear. Again, maybe not as much as we saw in the show, but Enough here to make it look like he's been through some stuff. The butt plate has some extra rust to it, but the back of the legs don't. We got some more scuffs and skids here on the legs, running down on the front, on the arms, the bicep, the forearm. Same thing over here. Looks especially good right here, like he's always grabbing with his left. Then for the inner workings that look so good because of the sculpt, just kind of plain plastic. That also needs some silver and some scrapes, maybe some dry brushing on top here and on the hand, around the knee. Getting a closer look at the knee brings us to engineering, and yeah, they've done the invisible pins again. It's clear plastic, seems to be another staple of newer Star Wars on Disney Plus, where the droid joints are supposed to be, you know, just open air. Well, I say Disney Plus, it actually started with K2SO, didn't it? Which is still Disney. But they've also done it with Zero, and the Republic Security Guard, and the Dark Trooper. And at first you think, well, it's clear plastic, it's gonna be brittle, it's gonna break. I haven't had a problem with any of those figures, and I don't expect to have a problem here either. But it is a little over-engineered. Out of the package, the forearms were funky like this. Well, actually, it was kind of like this. And I thought, inward hinge, that's crazy, but there's actually a swivel above and below. Bring it to here, and then turn, you can fix it. So it's not a big deal, and I'm griping about extra articulation, but it catches you off guard if you're not looking for it. Same thing with the knees. You can twist it here and above, and I think out of the package, mine were turned in just a little, and I thought, why does it go this way? But it's a simple fix again. I wouldn't consider those complaints because of how simple it is to get around that. My big nitpick is at the neck. It looks like there's a dumbbell or a ball up top and then a ball or a dumbbell down below. But because of the design, which puts an Adam's apple right there on the front of the neck, there's no down because it essentially acts like a wedge. It's a full stop, so Ned can't look down. And being the size that he is, I kind of want him to look down at other characters. My other nit is the knee hinges are slightly loose. They're not droopy McCool fall down, but it's just a little too easy to push forward and back. While we're on the subject of articulation, like I said, dumbbell or ball at the top of the neck, same thing, one or the other down at the bottom. Can look up, a little down. Lots of tilt though, side to side. There's a butterfly joint at the shoulder that comes out onto it, kind of like K2SO. It's made to look like part of the mechanism. Back and forward. There's a pin coming out to the shoulder, and I forgot to mention this, but the shoulder pad is a slightly softer material with the loop going around the shoulder. So it gets up and out of the way, but also travels with the arm. Hinge on the outside of that goes up to here. Swivel hinge swivel at the elbow comes up to 90, rotates in and out, and then twists on the bottom. Hinge and swivel at the wrist, rotates, and then hinges in. Dumbbell joint at the mid-torso, because of this cutout here, does have some crunch. Not a lot of arc back though. Tilt, rotation. Ball coming out to the hip, rotates up to here, and back, out. You can already see what's gonna happen. There's only this much gap between the thigh plate and the hip. So, well, you can kind of fake it like that. Or if you rotate forward and out, there's some, but rotation where this piece meets this one, nicely hidden behind the sculpt work. Swivel hinge swivel at the knee, can come up, can rotate in and out, can twist below. Hinge at the ankle goes back, forward, front facing pin for rocker. For accessories, a heavy duty droid needs a heavy duty hammer. There's the handle, there's the head, but then you get a closer look, there's a spring and some mechanics in there. Like it eases some of the recoil from the fingers aren't the softest material, so it takes some wedging to get the hell in there. There we go. Then there's also a blaster, which is this a battle droid blaster? Is this a leftover weapon from a bygone era? At least at the time of Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? It'd been some years. I'm gonna put it in the left because that's kind of how I remember it from the show. But again, not a lot of flex here. And some pushing. And can I get 2 fingers in there? It kind of goes, but it kind of doesn't. I've heard people say you put it in the right, it's not a tight fit or it looks awkward or something. I put this in the left and it seems like it's going to stay. In fact, I'm leaving it in there for the next segment. The hammer kind of has that, like he's loosely holding it look that I like so much. Getting him into this pose, I love the proportions. I love the stance. Not as big as I thought it'd be, but still pretty big. It's 6 7/16, which is still large within the realm of Star Wars Black Series. For customizing potential, it's got a neat man in suit look too, if you want to shove it into the Marvel universe, whether it be Legends or SH Figure Arts. Maybe a power suit of some kind with your G.I. Joes. Villain gear to go against your Metacom Moff X DC Hush figures. figures, or the fun design just fits in with your Fortnite figures. So at the end of the day, I did have my gripes, but it's still a fantastic figure. I mentioned the looseness at the knees. With the big old feet and the rest of the articulation scheme, you can compensate for that. Really, it's not loose enough to be crumpling under its own weight. It still poses out beautifully. And as much as I would like to see a darker yellow, it does bring some color to the shelf, especially against the drabness of some of the Star Wars offerings. But on top of all that, droid. That's all you gotta say. I'm super happy with this, which I had all these thoughts in my head before opening it. I was like, oh man, that does kind of... But as I've experienced a lot, once I give it a test drive, get past the hurdles, see things for how they are in my hands, in front of my own face, yeah. I know there's no reason to get two, but it'd be cool to have a couple more, wouldn't it? But after the last couple of months, I'm gonna wait. Maybe it'll hit clearance at some point, and if it doesn't, it wasn't meant to be. I'm leaving it to fate. If you enjoyed this overview, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus if you're interested in seeing videos early or in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. Oh, you know what? I'm imagining this in a blue color scheme with Cobra logos on it. The head seems too nice to be a villain. It's got to be a good guy robot, or suit, or drone of some kind. Or maybe camouflage with the greens and the yellows. Come on, fate. Be good to your humble servant.